Hey everyone, welcome back to Sci-Fi Junkies. Today, we're diving into Ling Cage Incarnation Season 2. After a long wait since Season 1, this donghua finally returns with a new chapter, one that's far more complex and thought-provoking. In this video, we'll break down the plot, major themes, shocking twists, and their bigger implications. If you've seen our previous video, we talked about how Lighthouse became humanity's last hope, but behind those towering walls, the system is riddled with injustice, from the rigid caste structure and the oppressed inferiors to the hidden truth about the mana ecosystem outside. But before we continue, if you haven't watched our Ling Cage Season 1 breakdown, I highly recommend checking it out first. I've left the link in the description, because here in Season 2, the mysteries only go deeper. And this time, it's not just about survival, it's about identity, betrayal, and bitter truths.
Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars.
At the end of Season 1, we witnessed how Marc escaped execution and unleashed chaos tearing through part of the lighthouse. The consequences were devastating. Many lives were lost, even though his true target was Charles. Broken and overwhelmed, Marc hurled himself down to the surface. A fellow hunter tried to reach him, but Marc had already lost consciousness. His journey continued on the wasteland below, where he crossed paths with Bai Yuekui once again. Their fight was brutal. Marc attacked blindly, almost stripped of all humanity. Yet Bai Yuekui overpowered him, as if she had been waiting all along with a plan in mind. And from that moment, the story's direction shifted, opening the door to Season 2. After the lighthouse disaster and Marc's fierce clash with Bai Yuekui, she took him to Dragonbone Village, introducing him to the secrets of the Potential Activation Center. This hidden sanctuary became the place where Marc learned to harness and control his potential. Slowly, he began to adapt to this new life, realizing his strength wasn't just human, it was part of a world evolving into something else. And with that, a new title was born, the Ecological Chimera, a symbol that Marc now stood on the threshold between mankind and a new ecosystem taking shape. Meanwhile, the lighthouse was far from idle. Hunters were dispatched on a mission to the surface. At first, their purpose was simple: exploration and resource collection. But since Marc was already seen as a threat, his presence automatically became a target. Their mission led them deeper into uncharted lands, until they eventually reached the outer defenses of Bai Yuekui's domain. This is where the paths of the Lighthouse, Dragonbone Village, and Marc collided once more, reigniting an old conflict on an even bigger scale. This tension exploded into a full-scale confrontation. Hunters clashed with the humanoid biochemical combat units inside the ecological base. A battle that pushed them to their limits until Marc himself stepped in to resolve it. But what truly shook the hunters wasn't just the fight. It was the truth finally revealed before their eyes. The real hand behind Marc's attempted execution, the one who slit his throat, was unmasked. That revelation shattered old loyalties, forcing everyone to question not just Marc, but the very system they had been serving all along. Episode 6 delivered one of the most emotional moments in the entire series, Marc's reunion with Ran Bing. Through a mysterious ritual, often referred to by fans as the Resonance Ritual, not official, but widely used in Ling Cage forums, Marc was drawn into another dimension. There, he appeared as a child, while Ran Bing returned in her youthful form. What made this scene unforgettable was the way it was visualized. Marc held what looked like a joystick made of bone, while their reunion played out on a projected screen. It was a blend of technology, spirituality, and memory that left a deep impression on the audience. Many viewers admitted to being moved to tears. It wasn't just a reunion between two characters. It was a powerful metaphor for hope, loss, and the fragments of humanity still alive within Marc. Season 2 also introduced the concept of biological armor, one of the Lighthouse's most controversial experiments. These suits were created through horrific human trials, with countless failed attempts and victims along the way, until Charles eventually became the one to wear it. This development highlighted the sharp moral divide. While the Lighthouse resorted to unethical extremes in order to survive, Marc and Bai Yuekui saw ways to coexist with the new ecosystem in a more balanced way. It's this clash of values that gave Season 2 its heavy moral weight. Not just action, but choices that challenge the conscience. When it comes to plot twists, this season unraveled major revelations. Marc discovered the existence of his clone, forcing him to question identity and the very meaning of a soul. Bai Yuekui revealed her grand plan, the Attack Stench Plan, a strategy involving sacrifice and possible manipulation of Marc, meant to confront the looming threat of mana. The connection to the mana prime entity made the story even more complex. The enemy wasn't just a faceless threat anymore, it blurred into something morally ambiguous. And of course, who could forget the breathtaking battle between Marc and Bai Yuekui in space? This sequence wasn't just visually stunning, with grand zero-gravity combat choreography, but also emotionally charged. On one side, Marc carried the scars and bitter truths he had just uncovered. On the other, Bai Yuekui stood firm in her vision, even if it meant fighting someone who was once an ally. It was the emotional climax of the season: betrayal, ideological conflict, and humanity's despair colliding on a cosmic stage. It's no wonder fans hailed this as one of the most epic duels in sci-fi donghua history. Look deeper, and the symbolism becomes clear. Marc represents the individual, still clinging to humanity and morality. Bai Yuekui embodies extreme utilitarianism, the belief that any sacrifice is justified for the greater good. Their clash in the space symbolizes the battle between human conscience and cold rational calculation. That's what makes the scene so powerful, not just a physical fight, but an ideological one. If Season 1 emphasized survival and social systems, then Season 2 elevated the narrative into a more philosophical arena. 1. Identity. Do we truly have freedom if our origins are controlled? Can a clone have a soul, emotions, and a life of its own? 2. Truth versus deception. Who is painted as the villain? Who is really pulling the strings? How much of what we see and hear can be trusted? 3. Sacrifice and utilitarian morality. How many lives can be sacrificed in the name of the greater good? 4. Humanity and nature. The mana aren't just monsters to be destroyed. The question is whether humans can adapt or even coexist instead of waging endless war. 5. Social hierarchy and oppression. The caste system, reproductive control, bans on affection, and strict identities all serve as a critique of systems that suffocate freedom and humanity. Ling Cage Incarnation Season 2 not only expanded the world laid out in Season 1, but also deepened the moral dilemmas, the character relationships, and the ideological battles. This season left us constantly questioning who can truly be trusted, Marc, Bai Yuekui, or even the mana itself. It's no surprise that fans often call Ling Cage one of the greatest and most complete sci-fi stories ever made. The positive feedback speaks volumes, from praise for its world-building and scientific detail, to fans lamenting that it's still underrated due to language barriers and limited distribution. But for those who experienced it, Ling Cage is already a masterpiece, not just dazzling us with action, but stirring our hearts with its messages and symbolism. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next sci-fi deep dive. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!